welcome back to it. It is your Feel Good Breakfast show. Now, all morning we've been talking about separation anxiety, but right now in Baby Talk, we're talking about the big one. It is potty training. Is your toddler ready to take the potty? Now, potty training doesn't happen overnight, but fear not. Trusted occupational therapist and co-author of Pregnancy Says, Meg Faure, is here to help make the process a little easier. Welcome to us.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Meg, it's tough out there, man. It's tough out there.
Are you in the midst of it?
I'm in the thick of it. I have to be careful, choose my words clearly. It is so tough. I would imagine I hope a lot of parents are struggling with this because it's been one of our biggest challenges. You've helped me nail sleep. You've helped me nail weaning. There's so many of these developmental gateways that I've crushed. I feel like I'm winning as a parent. I feel like I'm losing as a parent now with potty training. Maybe we start at the very beginning and we say, okay, when do we need to start potty training? When do we know it's the right time?
Well, what's quite interesting is that babies from previous generations actually potty trained a lot earlier than our current generation do.
Oh, really?
And the reason is that nappies are so good at taking away moisture that little ones are not getting the signals that they're wet. So they're much more comfortable in wet nappies than, for instance, a soggy toweling nappy. So we are potty training later, but the rule of thumb is anywhere between about 18 months to about 25 months, so that's just after your little one turns 2, you should start potty training. But you can expect a little bit of upheavals as you go along until about 2.5. They can take some time to actually get it right, especially if you're not using a, kind of an approach that's really directed by you, which we can chat about as well.
But we're going to need.
Yeah.
We're going to need to chat about that, Meg.
Now, how do you know if your child is actually ready to start potty training?
Yeah. So there are a couple of signals you're going to look for. The first thing is that they need to have certain gross motor skills. Like, for instance, they need to be able to actually sit and balance on a potty. If they're still falling off all over the place, they're clearly not ready. That could be messy. They also need to be able to have the kind of cognitive awareness of what's going on. So they'll start to actually notice that there's a little signal, and they might look down between their legs, and that's when you start to know that actually they're starting to get the signal, because they've got to get that awareness, because otherwise they're never going to know. And then the other thing that happens is that socially they get fascinated by you going to the toilet. So, I mean, it's a long journey for us as parents, because they're in the toilet forever afterwards with us. We never get to the loo on our own. But as soon as they're interested and they're watching what you're doing, you can start to talk about it and see if they're ready to. So normally 18 to 24 months.
And those mirror neurons are firing on all cylinders. So let's start with the practical side now. The equipment that's needed. Presumably a potty is a good place to start.
A potty, yeah, you can start with that. So there's 2 different choices for potty. One is a floor-based potty, so something that's really nice and stable. I think they call them thrones now, so they've kind of got a little side as well as the potty pot, so it's nice and stable, not like the old-fashioned kind of round balancing acts.
Chamber pots,
Yes, the chamber pots. So definitely one of those, or one that is raised actually on your own toilet seat. So it's a little toilet seat that goes onto your toilet that makes the hole a little bit smaller so they don't disappear down it. But the important thing is, if your little one's going to go to the toilet sitting on the loo, then you want to have their feet supported, because one of the things that they need, if their feet are kind of dangling, they feel very unbalanced, and then they battle to coordinate what's going to happen.
Okay.
So they need a step or something to put their feet on if you're going to have them on a raised surface.
That's a big one.
And then the other piece of equipment that I do recommend is a batch of really, really cheap nappies. And there's a good reason for that. The reason is that if your little one has a very good quality nappy, which I do encourage you to have for night times, for instance, for sleep, but if they're very good quality nappies, they wick that moisture away so quickly that the baby doesn't notice that they're wet. Whereas if you've got like a cheap and nasty nappy, or even a toweling nappy, they actually notice that, because they get the signal that something's coming, and then they get a response afterwards of a signal of I'm wet and soggy.
Okay.
And so they can start to connect together that when I get that signal that something's coming, then there's a reaction afterwards. Whereas if you've got something that's very, very high quality, they don't feel the moisture afterwards.
They're happy and free.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with the step-by-step approach of what I need to do as a parent, because I have no doubt that my son isn't failing. I might be the one who is failing at this, but we are talking about potty training specifically. And we've been asking you on our social media platforms, maybe you've got some great tips that you can share with us on how you've got it absolutely right. Be arrogant, share it with us, laud your success over us. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know on our social media platforms, at Expresso Show is the handle to use, or our morning show Facebook page. You can post some pics. Maybe you've had some spectacular failures as well. This is a safe space to share, but we're going to continue our discussion with Meg in just a moment.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
challenge you not to be happy listening to that gorgeous little giggle. It's baby talk time. Meg Faure is here to talk about potty training, dun, dun, dun. And I know I'm over-dramatising it at the moment, but it's become quite a thing, Meg, because we seem to be nailing it. We seem to be getting the hang of it, and then we've taken a step back. Does that happen? Can you kind of, you know, one step forward, two steps back?
It absolutely happens, and I think it's important parents know that, because it almost does feel like a bit of a failure, because the outcome of a mistake with potty training is horrible. It's a mess, and it's embarrassing if you're out and about and whatever. But parents have to relax. There will be steps backwards for sure.
Is there a step-by-step approach that you would recommend getting into the potty training routine?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so leading up to potty training, when you think your little one might be ready, so 2 weeks before, I want mums and dads to get a little doll, one of those weeing dolls. So one of those little dolls that you can actually give a little bit of water to and something comes out the bottom. And actually start to model it as a game with the little one. So you actually feed the baby some water, sit them on the potty, the water comes out, and there's a big clap, and the baby's so happy. So that's step number one. So the little one starts to realize that this is going to be a reward on the other side of the action. Step number two, you're going to put them into those really, really cheap and nasty nappies that I spoke about, so that they start to feel a little bit uncomfortable, that they don't want to have the nappy on anymore. Step number three, and this is why I always say that potty training should take place in summer preferably, because you want to have a couple of days where you can have nappy off completely, little one running around the garden. Because what happens then is, as they get that signal, they then urinate down their legs, and it's a very clear thing that actually, when I get that signal, I'm going to urinate. And as that happens, you say, oopsie, want to go to the toilet, and you can take them off to the toilet. They might have already finished their action, but they get the idea that this is what's going to happen. Okay, so that's in the 2 weeks preceding potty training, and then we start. So when we start, what you're going to do is you're going to give lots and lots of liquid, and I'm talking about offer water all the time, okay? So they're going to have lots going in so that lots will come out. Every 45 minutes, you're going to set the timer on your watch or on the clock or whatever, and you're going to take them to the toilet every 45 minutes for the first couple of days. If they don't do anything, it's absolutely fine. They wash their hands, they go and continue playing. 45 minutes later, same story. So they get that something's going to happen. And then on the back of the toilet, you're going to have a little reward jar. So a little jar that's got something in it that they can be rewarded with. So I love those tiny little round stickers that you get. They're very cheap. They're a little sheet of cheap stickers.
We use that, yeah.
Pop those in the back, and every time they get it right, they get themselves a little sticker on their hand. And so it's immediate. They get this reward of, first of all, going to the toilet, second of all, having the little sticker.
Okay, so it's about setting up a schedule yourself and doing that, because I think where we've been falling down is that we've been waiting for him to give us that response of, I need the toilet, and then it feels like we're always catching it after the fact.
So that step comes next. So the next step is, after a couple of days, you're going to go from 45 minutes to more like an hour, and then you're going to just ask loosely every now and then, do you need the toilet? Which is probably what you're already doing, Graham. So do you need the toilet? And then taking them. The important thing is that you're going to, right at the beginning, get into absolute consistency of as soon as you need it, you're going, and you're getting a reward, so that pattern develops.
Now, you speak a lot about during the day, like those are little steps for during the day, but what happens at night? What if your little one is not staying dry through the night?
Yeah.
Because we're now having water as our, which has replaced our night feed, so he is going to wee during the night.
Absolutely. So that's actually where parents go very wrong. Parents seem to have this idea that when my child is potty training at about 18 months to 2.5, that they then can start to potty train at night, and that is not the case. So nighttime dryness comes a whole lot later. So that can be actually as late as 5 years old, is still considered normal, within the normal range. So it's very wide range. Some little ones will start to be drier sooner. Now, our kidneys actually produce a hormone that stops us from urinating at night and producing urine at night. Yeah, when we're sleeping. And that kicks in for some little ones at like 2.5, and for others only at 5. And so as soon as you're starting to see that your little one's kind of making it through 1 or 2 nights dry, then you can take the nappy away. But don't take it away sooner, because otherwise you're stressed, they're stressed, you're changing beds in the middle of the night. It's just a pointless effort altogether. So later is better. The one thing that I do want to mention, and this is very important, is one of the things that really stands in the way of potty training, and particularly nighttime potty training, is actually constipation. So one of the most important things of preparing to potty train at night is to make sure your baby's having very regular bowel movements every day. So it mustn't be hard little book drollikies, it must be soft and pasty, and if it isn't, they need to be on some sort of treatment to make sure they're not constipated.
Thank you. This feels like a parent's chat, spoken about poo. Then you know you're a parent when you're speaking about poo. That's the bottom line. Meg, as always, hugely helpful. I'm going to apply that. I'm going to go back and review those points and maybe kind of start afresh. I think that I need to start afresh, not my little one, but hopefully that you found that to be useful as well, some practical tips. And again, keep sharing some great advice. If you've had some successes or maybe some failures, you can share with us on our social media platforms.